So you can see the CSS provided by this library sits inside CSS. It provides a big JavaScript file which sits also inside this library, and that's the JavaScript. Now what this library has done is it has given you a style.css for you to customize. This is empty. So whatever you want to override, you use style.css. I'm going to make a copy of, I'm just going to open blank with Dreamweaver and I'm going to save it as index. Later on, the files that you don't need, you must delete. So this is my blank, and really I don't want anything in my body. See, that's my body. I'm just going to empty it out. Let's have a look at the template. What does it have? It does link to jQuery library, and you can see this will require the internet. If it breaks, it means my internet connection is not working properly. And this is the JavaScript of the local guy. My batteries have gone. Yep. That's the JavaScript provided by Kickstart. Let's have a look at the CSS. Almost every library will have a JavaScript file and a CSS file. So whenever you go to the website and you like some library and you download it, make sure you put the CSS in the CSS folder, JavaScript in the JS folder, and you link it. Let's say here, see kickstart.css is linked, and very important that this style.css, this style.css which is not sitting in the CSS folder, I normally throw it in there. I would normally throw it, I would normally, just because I'm a bit fanatic, I would throw this in to my CSS folder, and here I would call it CSS, but really it's up to you if you're comfortable doing it. Yeah, I would put everything in the CSS folder. Now the reason this is on the second line is because this is where you are going to override any previous CSS. What these libraries basically say is don't mess around with this 1 million lines here. You can, and usually they don't even supply this. They supply a minified version of it. Minified version means there's no spaces, there are no lines, everything is one straight line, no spaces, no carriage returns. And that's what you need when you use libraries, because they should load really fast. So you can see all of these libraries have been, this is a minified version. You can see that's what a minified version looks like. So all of this has been provided by the library. Now what normally I do is, you see this empty one here, this is the one we're going to use to change things. Okay, this is where we can start changing things, and it has got some bare minimal styles. Okay, so these are the files with the library. I'm going to go back to my source code and I'm going to start building a page. Let's say I need some kind of a heading or a banner. So I've downloaded it. I've included this. So these are already included there. 2 JS files, 1 CSS file. And then you just copy in your element, it says, and I'll show you how easy it is. Because I'm using Dreamweaver, let me define my site, new site. I'll call it Kickstart Responsive. That's just a name. And I will set a folder. Now the folder that I'm going to set is HTML Kickstart. That's my folder. Under servers or under advanced settings, I think I can set a folder for images. I don't have a folder for images, so I'm going to make one. Images. Yep, and I'll choose that. So all my images go there. And that's my files here. Let's start building our page. Now you really should have content to build a website. Without content, there is no website. I can start with a menu, I can start with a banner. Let me start with a horizontal menu. And you can see these type of menus are available to me. If I want a horizontal menu, you can see this. I've got a nice menu structure from this fellow. I'm going to stick it in the body. He even has a comment for me. He even has got a comment for me. Menu horizontal. What I like to do is put a second comment. Menu ends here. So when I'm navigating through this mess, I know what's happening. Now we are familiar with ULs. ULs give us links, and these are sublinks if you want a sub menu. Okay, right? So this particular LI sub item, before it closes, he has got a second UL, and some of you have tried it before. Now you can see this I tag. The I tag inside the LI, or rather sitting inside the A tag, gives me an icon. So he's using icons from Font Awesome, and there's a list of entire icons there. He has got a few tags as well for active. So if you went and said, I think class is equal to current, if I was to view this, so this current is what is making that blue. Okay, so if I was on a separate page and I took that class current and I put it on this, let's say item 3, if I was on the page number 3, I would expect that one to be active. Okay, that's how useful it is to use a library. Now let's say you don't want these icons. He's got these funny icons sitting there. If you don't want these icons, you basically take the I tag and say, I don't want them. And if you want them, wherever you want them, you just put an I tag. So he has got a whole set of icons for you. You can make your own icons, PNG files, but almost all the generic ones that you need, I've taken them away except I think, yeah, inbox item 3. So I'm just killing these icons. I don't want these icons. Okay, and I think I have a divider somewhere. What's the divider do? The divider just has a separation between the menu items. So I'm just going to kill the divider as well as the icon with it, the trash. So li divider, I'm just going to kill that one. So there you have got, and you have a sub item. Great. I must have done something wrong. So I have an li, I have a ul, item 3, sub item. No, I don't want that. This is a sub item. Don't want it. I'm just cleaning it up. So there are just 2 sub items, and you can have sub item, but just doesn't make sense unless you really need it. The taxman might need it. The website has too many links, because to make navigation easy, and I noticed that's one thing about big sites like tax office. Okay, are you businessman, professional, individual category, and then subcategory. So it makes navigation makes sense to have several sub items, because you don't want people clicking, searching, and going crazy. So there is a legitimate need for that. So I just got my menu, nice menu. and you can see it does have some hover. If you don't like it, this is the way you're going to do it. Right click, inspect the element. It tells you exactly where the A is coming from. It will also tell you where the A hovers are coming from. A visited, A hovers. It should. If I go and search for colon hover, I'll find it. But let's look at the A item here. You have menu LIs, links, and look at this. It is coming from blank.html, kickstart.css 34. What I would do is I would usually go and overwrite it in my style.css instead of messing around here. But if you feel brave enough, actually this one is style.css, line number 33. And that's just the font of the menu. And if I was to go back and inspect here, come somewhere here, Kickstart menu, line 17, menu.li.a. You can try and change the colors here. See this? And you can see I'm changing the color of the text there. I'm guessing the background is sitting inside another class or maybe inside the UL. That's just a border, and I have a background that's overwritten. When it shows you a strikeout, it means the background has been set, but something is overriding it. So something is overriding it from li. So the UL class menu is what I'm really after. And I can do some of the things which are really a favorite of mine. You know, styles. I usually add a style here before I put it in the overriding style. Let me see if this works. So that's not where it's coming from. Okay, one way of changing it is I can change it in the li if I want to. Okay. So if you wanted to change things, you could change it there, but it's not coming from there. I think the UL itself has been styled. But you can style the li, and you can see the li when it says current, it becomes blue. So if you wanted to change each of these, you can just style the li. Okay, so we got a lot of menus, and we know how to customize it. There are ways you can to apply the style. You apply to the li or the a, and that's going to be the biggest challenge. Let me go and add some more elements. He's got some beautiful tables. I don't need a table right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and put a banner up there. And I'll talk to you about the responsiveness. Okay, let's talk about the responsiveness first. What happens in the CSS is, let me open the Kickstart CSS, the big CSS file. I'll define my site. I have defined it. If I just go and press and say media, find in the entire site. It's in the Kickstart grid. Responsive libraries use a framework of boxes, and they've got these things set up that if the width decreases, these boxes should fall one below the other. That's the basic idea of responsive libraries. Now there are new libraries that don't use this grid. And how many grids should one have? How many devices are there? The last time I looked up, you had to set up 7 different CSS files, simply because the number of devices or the number of ways in which you can see a site is different. Portrait, landscape, tablet, phablet, phone, big phone, small phone. It's a crazy world. So if you want it totally responsive, want it working on every single device out there, you got to cater for all of this. And that's why it's really good to use a library, because most libraries are updated by the developers when a new device comes into town. So in this framework, and in fact in many frameworks, the total number of grid elements have to be, I think, 12 or 16. And I'll just quickly check this. Matt, how much is Bootstrap, the total width? How many columns does Bootstrap work on? Bootstrap and Kickstart are similar, I think. I think both work on 12. And I'll just quickly check that for you. Okay, here, columns 12. So anything that you want to occupy the full width, one column, 12. If you want 2 columns, no problem. The distribution should be such that the total of the grid should be 12. Now he has got a class called call_1 and call_12. Okay? He's got these classes. So let's look at it. I'm just going to get some dummy text and try to understand this, because this is critical. So just try and understand this. Andrew, later I'll help you. First understand this. So I'm just going to pick up some paragraphs here in my blank page, source code. After the menu, I create a div tag and I put some content there. Cool. I'll make the content a bit less and I'll make another div tag. Put some more content there and make that content a bit less as well. So I've got these 2 div tags. Let's look at them. 2 div tags, that's one div tag there, and that's the second div tag. I'll just put a style on it so you can see it. Style equals border 1 pixel solid black, just so you can see it. And the second one, I'm just going to make it red. Okay, there are my two boxes. If I put a class equals column and col, now these are coming because I have attached the CSS library. I have attached the Kickstart library, so this is what's coming. Let me say this is 2 columns, two and 2 is 4, and let me make one more as 8. So the total should be 12, 2, 2 and let's say 8. See that? And this is fully responsive. The padding and everything has been set by him. Now one thing that should have happened was it should have collapsed, and my thing did not collapse, and I think it's because it is reading my device and thinking, oh no, he's still on a PC. But let me try to simulate a device. Nope, doesn't work. And is it because of my styles? I'll leave that as this, and I'll go and fix it later, so why it's not collapsing below. I'll go and add one more thing, and I'll fix that on the code, and I'll tell you how to bring it down, how to get the tables to collapse. I'll quickly show you one more thing in this code, and that's let me change my page title here. Responsive web 1. Yep. There's one more thing I want to show you from his site, and that is sliders, something we often use, and Matt used one from Bootstrap. So yeah, that's a slideshow. Now what I usually do is in the slideshow, I put the slideshow inside a div. So that's my slideshow, and slideshow. It comes with a default placeholder. There's a website called placeholder.it that gives you a height and width. So this is just a default placeholder where you can put your own image source. So this image can be your own, and it uses a list. One thing that I do to fix up his slideshow is I apply the full width class to it. Class full width to it. So each of the images have a full width class. I'll kill the last li, save it. and you can see it does work with the images. I will go and check why my columns are not collapsing, but that's how rapidly you can build up your site if you have content, images, slides, styles, and it has got a lot of styles for form elements, for tables. Okay, so you're using a library now, as opposed to first term where you are creating styles. You're using a library and you can customize the styles. Cool. This is the easiest framework.